Leah, welcome to the Big Lab podcast. How are we doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Would you like to give yourself a quick introduction of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Leah. I'm a mum mostly, most of the time. But I'm also like ultra runner, Hyroxer, kind of into all sorts of fitness things. So yeah, that's it really.
So, what was it that first got you into these ultra runs and high roxes and things like that?
So I started sport probably quite late compared to some people. I think I was like a typical teenage girl kind of growing up in the diet culture world that wanted to lose weight, and that's kind of how I got into exercise. And now it's kind of taken a full 360, and now I just eat so much food to kind of keep me going. So I'm kind of done a whole turn on what I was kind of starting off exercising for. So I was at uni when I started running, so like a long time ago. Joined a running club at uni as a way of kind of meeting new people. Signed up to a few races. I think a half marathon was first, and then got up to the marathon, and then had my daughter, and kind of was like, well, I'm not gonna be able to do that anymore. Kind of need to lower the distance, went back down to 5Ks, 10Ks and stuff. And then I think she was about 6 months old doing the marathon, but I was like, I'll have to do like a trail one, not a speedy one, knowing that I kind of wouldn't be as fast as I used to be. And then did that, did quite well, come third female. And then just kind of built it up from there again. And now I'm doing longer ones. So I've kind of done again, thought I'd have to give it all up becoming a mum, but actually now I'm doing more than I ever was. So yeah, it's really good.
So, your first race that you entered was a half marathon.
Yeah, I think I may have done like a charity 10K like a few years beforehand, but kind of just for fun, not competitively. And then yeah, just signed up to my local half marathon, I think with like 5 weeks training or something, like not really taking it any seriously, but then kind of got the bug from there and then joined my local running club, and yeah, kind of went from there.
So, what was it about running then that really made it click for you? Considering when you were sort of a teenager, you weren't really interested.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, when I started, it was kind of as a thing to lose weight, burn a load of calories, and kind of manage my weight in that way. And then I think because the more you do it, the more you realize like how much you need the food and the energy. And it's not just going out for a run, it's like all these different components that you need to put into place. And I think because I came into it quite late, it was quite a nice sport to get into that you didn't need to be doing from when you were really young. Like you could just pick up at any point and kind of do quite well in it. So that was kind of quite appealing. And it was quite easy to get into. You literally just have to have a pair of trainers. You can go for a run.
Yeah, it's a really low barrier to entry, isn't it? Which is why I think it's becoming quite a bit of a craze at the moment. Especially, I keep seeing stuff online about the level of normal fitness is slowly creeping up to more and more ridiculous distances. A couple of years ago, a half marathon or a marathon was like a huge thing, but now, like yourself, you've done a backyard ultra. I think was it about 87K that you covered at the
Yeah.
weekend?
Just insane. I was speaking to a friend about it because I was like, what can I do next? That's like impressive because marathons aren't impressive anymore. Like even ultras aren't really that impressive, but it feels like everyone's doing them. But I mean, it's good. Obviously, everyone's out there getting fit and keeping strong. But yeah, it's insane how you kind of, especially when you're in that running world, like everyone seems to be doing all these amazing, crazy things.
I'd be interested to know actually on participation numbers to see how much they've actually increased or whether we just perceive it that we're seeing it more and more often just because it's on social media.
Yeah,
I'd like to see the sort of
the London Marathon, I think the entries of that, it was world like the record that they've ever had this year
wow.
for entries for that. So I think it probably is just getting more popular. But I also think because you're seeing more and more like normal people doing it, people then think that they can do it and they want to
Yeah.
enter it. And which obviously is amazing. But I think, yeah, people don't realize how hard it actually is or how like these sub 3 hour marathons are not actually achievable. It just feels like everyone's doing it and because they see the good side of it on social media and not the training that goes into it.
It's a very small portion, isn't it, of people that are doing a sub 3.
Yeah.
So, just for the people listening at home as well, what exactly is a backyard ultra?
So it's a race format that you run 6.7K on the hour every hour or 4.1 miles. So it starts at midday. They all have to start at midday for some reason. I think it's just to make it harder. So you kind of have to run through the night to get at those distances. But it starts at midday on the hour every hour. You're sent out on a loop. It's normally 2 loops or 1 loop. And then you go back whatever time you finish it in. So say you kind of finished it in 45 minutes to 50 minutes. You then go back to your base camp where you have your food, you have a little lie down, you have your crew members there to help you. And then you go back out on the hour every hour. And you just keep doing that until you can't go anymore. So
Wow.
it's a real like mental thing because for me personally, I find it hard to have to decide to stop because I want to keep going. It's not like it's a race where you've got a finish line where you get to and then you stop. It doesn't really matter if you're happy with your time or not, you kind of just stop. Whereas in this race format, you have to be the person to decide when to stop.
So, what is it that's going through your mind then later on in the race as to why you should stop or why you should keep going? Because, like you say, there's not that much of a rest that you're getting. It's maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes if you're a bit quicker.
Yeah, so I did a few like sims in training where I'd run like 5K every 40 minutes to kind of replicate what I'd be doing on race day, but obviously not to the same distance or to the extreme. Um and I did one with my friend and we did 8 5Ks with a little rest in between. It's kind of like a simulation of race day. And like we both felt fine and we thought like we were like, what when are we going to hit the wall sort of thing? Like when's it going to happen? But I think because you're running so slow compared to what you race in training or race like paces in other races, your body obviously doesn't tire as quickly. So for me personally, for the first like 10 laps, I felt absolutely fine. My legs felt fine, my body felt fine. I was eating, I was drinking, I was going to the toilet, and like, all the times I should have been going to the toilet, I wasn't dehydrated. And then it wasn't until kind of the night time, obviously everything changes then, like it's dark, no one's really talking, music's turned off, it's kind of a different vibe. But I wanted to definitely get to midnight, which would have been 12 hours. And I kind of said to myself, like, after midnight, I'll then take it like lap by lap, um, and just see how I get on. And I felt absolutely fine. I got to the 13th lap and was almost at the end of the loop to go back to the tent. And I just started feeling really ill. I was like shaking. I think I was just freezing cold. It had gotten cold at that point. I think maybe my body just didn't have enough energy to keep me warm. And so it wasn't until kind of the last K of the last loop that I decided that I wasn't going to go back out again. So I think
Right.
different people are affected by different things. I know people who have obviously got really injured and had to stop, or they had tummy issues and had to stop, or they mentally just couldn't do another lap of this race course that we were doing. So I think everyone obviously has their different reasons to why they stopped. But for me, I was too, because it was would have been 1 a.m. I was too worried about going out again in the dark, not feeling very well, and kind of not knowing would I make it back to kind of they had first aiders around the course. They're not if I was going to make it back without kind of like fainting or passing out or something.
Yeah, I can imagine it gets pretty dangerous as well, especially, you're
Yeah.
12, 13 hours into working out basically with very
Yeah.
short rest periods.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have to sign a waiver. You have to be fit, and you kind of have to train for it. It would be a silly thing to do without training. But I'd never
Yeah.
trained throughout the night. I'd never trained kind of past like 10 p.m. Obviously, I trained from like January onwards, so it was all through the winter. So I trained in the dark and the cold and all that side of things. But I'd never ran overnight. It's just not really something that you can do that as a female runner. Like you can't go out running at midnight
I
or
guess it's
whatever.
the mental fatigue of when you'd usually be in bed as well.
Exactly.
I
And I
imagine that
like my
starts
sleep.
creeping in.
I hate being cold and I hate being tired. So being cold and tired 13 hours into a race just was not ideal. And that I think that's probably what cracked me in the end. Um, but yeah, I know for next time now, and hopefully I can train, whether that's just kind of going to a gym that's open 24/7 and doing it in the gym to kind of feel a bit safer. I don't know, but yeah, now I know what cracked me, so hopefully I can work on it.
How do you balance as well your pacing? So obviously you run slower than you usually would, but then obviously that time is then eaten into your rest time as well because you're running
Yeah.
for longer within that hour period.
And I probably didn't train enough. I think a lot of people go into it knowing exactly what time they want to be back in their tent for. I kind of didn't do that, and I kind of wanted to go just based off heart rate. So I was just going, trying to keep in zone one, zone two. Obviously not knowing what that would be on the day, depending on like circumstances leading up to it. So I didn't really have an idea of when to be back. I just knew I needed probably at least 10 minutes every time. But on one of the laps, it really started raining, so I kind of picked up the pace a little bit just to get back to the tent, and ended up having 19 minutes rest. But actually, I felt worse after that rest than I did after the 10 minutes. I think it was almost too
Right.
long, and I think I probably ate too much because I was just sat like trying to eat. I had like 10 Jaffa cakes,
Yeah.
which is great because it's loads of carbs. But then I went back out and just felt a bit like not sick, but like my tummy was a bit heavy, and I was like, oh, that probably was a bit too much food and probably a bit too much sitting around. So it's hard to get the
Yeah, I
balance
can imagine
right.
your legs start stiffening up and things like that if you sit around for too long.
Yeah, especially where it is probably colder than what we were expecting it to be. Like it was the weather, every lap was just so different. So you get warm and have your sun cream on one lap, and then the next lap it was raining and coats were on, and it was just a bit mad.
Yeah, you've got to love the British weather.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So you mentioned that obviously you're a mum. What does a normal day look like balancing work, motherhood, and training, especially for these long distance events?
It's a bit crazy. But I'm a single mum, so I share custody of my daughter pretty much 50-50. I have her slightly more, but so my weeks are quite different. Half of the week I'm kind of full mum mode. I've got a full-time job as well, so I train between looking after my daughter, going to work. She's at school now, she's 5, so it's a bit easier. And then the second half of my week is like a complete contrast. Like I can train a lot more and obviously still go to work. So my days when I haven't got her is normally gym first thing in the morning, like 6 a.m. And then a day at work, and then normally a run in the evening as well, just to try and cram the training in when I can. So when I have got my daughter, I can be a bit more relaxed on the training, not worry too much.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess you just plan ahead for when you do and don't have your daughter during the week and sort of should adjust your training around that.
I think it works quite well. Like a lot of my friends are like, how do you do it? Like how do you fit it all in? But I think and I'm definitely fitter now than I was before I had her because my training's so much more like intentional. That I know I have to go to gym at this time and do this session. I can't n- not do it and do it another day, or I can't do it and only do half of it and then do half another time. Like, I have to train at this time and do this session to achieve this out of my training. So there's no other time to do it.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. Well, I've not got a child or anything like that, but I know where you're coming from with like a busy job, and obviously I've got the podcast as well. So then I'm fitting my training around podcast episodes and busy work, being away and things like that. I think quite a lot of people struggle with like what you say, the intentionality of it and making sure it's planned in before you start the week instead of going into the week blind. I feel like a lot of people don't really have that direction in terms of I'm going to do this on this day, but if I can't, I can potentially move it to this day. It's just the wheels are off and that's it.
Yeah. I feel like it's so like ingrained in your weekly routine, it's just a habit then. And it's almost weird now if I didn't go and do a track session on the Tuesday, or if I didn't go and do a Hyrox session on this day, my week it would all just fall out of place and I'd have to rejig everything and it'd be more stress than just going and doing it. So it's just, once it becomes like a habit, it's not even, I don't even second guess going to do it. I go to work, I go to do this session, I do this and I do this, and it's almost because I don't even think about it, I just do it because that's just part of my week. There's no like, oh, should I go to the
Yeah.
gym tonight? I just go.
Yeah, it is that, isn't it? It just becomes part of your routine and who you are, and it feels weird that if you don't stick to that. And I was speaking on another podcast about people trying to go from 0 to 100, and that's the reason why it doesn't stick because they're trying to change into a completely different person in the space of a week or two. when you need to build it up from 0 to 10, and once those habits are in check, then you go from 10 to 20, and then further along the line, you have that delayed gratification along the way, but you become a different person during that period instead of completely trying to become a completely different person within a couple of weeks. It's just not going to stick.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say to someone who claims they don't have enough time to train?
I get this a lot because my working week is, I work compressed hours, so I work 40 hours a week, but on 10-hour days, 4 days a week. So a lot of people that I work with, they're like, how do you go home after a 10-hour day? We're at work 8 till 6. How do you have time before work or after work to do it? And I think, but what would I be doing if I didn't go to the gym? Like, what are you doing if you're like not, and it's not even going to the gym. I just think just having a hobby in general after work or outside of work is a good thing, whether it's gym, whatever you want to do. Like, it's good to do something. I can't imagine just coming home from work at 6 o'clock, especially when I don't have my daughter, and then just having dinner and then what? Like, what? I don't know. Like, what do people do? Like, watch TV? Like, go on their phones? Like, I don't. Like, I understand that people are busy and they've got families and everything else, but what else are you doing? Like, I just
Yeah,
don't know what else there is, uh, if you're not doing something for yourself, whether that's going swimming, going for a run, going out with friends. What else would you be doing other than that? And like training
I get
doesn't
similar
have to be,
questions as well.
yeah, I just don't, and it doesn't even have to be going out and doing a hard workout, just going out for a walk with friends. And even if you just walk into a pub and getting a drink or going to like a nice like countryside, like that's still, you're doing something for yourself and you're staying active. So surely there's time for that in some point in your week.
Yeah, for me, there's too many people that literally just go to work and then come home to sit in front of a TV for the rest of the night. They're the same people that moan about results that they don't have from the work that they've not put in. If you took maybe even if you still spent 2 hours watching Netflix of an evening, just free up an hour to go and do some form of exercise, something. There'll be something out there that you enjoy. You just don't know it yet because you've not tried enough things. Like you, I've had similar questions like, how do you fit it all in? And it's because I plan ahead and I have priorities. So once those priorities are met, then I can do nothing and waste time. And like, I don't care then because I've hit all of my objectives for the day or the week.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, even when my daughter was really young, we had like a spin bike at home. So if I wanted to watch a bit of TV, I would just sit in front of the TV and I'd watch a bit of Netflix whilst on the spin bike. So then I've got my workout done. I'm at home with my daughter. She's in bed. So that's all done. And I'm still having a bit of like switching off time watching the TV. I know not everyone can have a spin bike at home or can have a treadmill or a walking pad or something, but like they are quite readily available now. They're quite cheap. So if you did want to if you didn't want to pay for a gym or you didn't want to go to gym for whatever reason, or you didn't want to go for a run, like there are other ways of keeping active. If you do just want to binge watch a Netflix series, you can do that whilst. Um,
That's it. Or even a walking pad. Like if it's raining or it's dark out and you don't want to walk at night, walking pads are also very accessible. And I imagine there's quite a lot these days on Facebook Marketplace for spin bikes and things like that from people that bought them in lockdown and now no longer use them. So, what keeps you disciplined when you're exhausted? Because, like you say, you're doing 10-hour shifts, you've got your daughter half the week, you've got all your training. What is it that keeps you in check?
I'm quite competitive, like with other people and also with myself. So I know that if I want to do well in these competitions or want to beat my times, like I've got to put the work in. Like I'm at a point now with running in Hyrox that I can't just turn up and expect to beat my time. If I want to beat my times, I've really got to, like, it's those tiny percentages now that I'm trying to take off. So I've got to, it may only be like, for example, for a 5K, I've not PB'd in a 5K for over a year. And when I did, I got like a 5 second PB, but I worked really, really hard for that 5 second PB. So if I want to take any time off my running or the Hyrox, or if I want to be able to run further in ultra, because I already do so much, I have to do more or have to work more efficiently or have to train smarter. So it's just not a case of just, oh, I can just go to the gym today and just do a little session that I feel like I want to do, that everything has to be like intentional and have a purpose behind it. I think that's what keeps me disciplined. Like I know if I want the results, I need to put the work in. I can't just turn up and expect to get the times that I want.
Do you think that competitiveness could potentially be harmful and push you a little bit too far?
I think other people would say so, yeah. I think a lot of my family and friends think I'm mental, and they probably think I'm doing too much. But my argument to that is always like I rarely drink alcohol. Like I don't go out drink like I don't go out drinking very much. I don't smoke. Like this is like my vice. Like this is what I do to relieve stress. I don't this is just and yeah, I probably do it to the extreme in terms of going out and running 87K, or I did 3 Hyroxes in 4 days last year. So I think I do when I do things, I do them to the extreme, but also I train to be able to do that. I don't just turn up and do it. I train my body to be able to like withstand that kind of physical pressure.
Do you think you'll ever be satisfied with where you're at, or do you think you'll constantly be trying to push yourself to these PBs and crazier sort of events?
I don't know, because I would say when I had my daughter, I kind of, like I said, I did kind of think that was probably it in terms of like competitive sports. So I think there probably will come a point where I do feel like I probably will have to just slow down, which is in general kind of like with age and not being able to keep up with the younger people. But also that I run with my local running group, and there are some older ladies in there and they're incredible. So I'm like, well, if they're still going, I can still keep going. So I don't
Well, I
know.
guess that's where the age groups come in as well, don't they? That's how
Yeah,
you remain competitive with
yeah.
people at the same age. So you mentioned that you obviously do the high rocks. Why do you think they've become so popular recently?
I think it's media, isn't it? It's like a cool thing to do. You can run around topless. You can get your nice matching like gym set and your fancy shoes, and it just looks cool, doesn't it? But
I mean, I wouldn't say cool. Like I have a strong opinion on
see,
all the lads running around with the tops off. Yeah, I don't get it. Like I've
no,
been going to the gym for 15 years. I've never once thought I'll take
yeah.
my top off and this is going to be so much better. It makes no sense to me. Like, but
Yeah.
you know,
You're either like,
each their own.
yeah, you either love it or you're a bit like, what the hell's going on? It's one of those, isn't it? Like people they either get it or they don't. But I don't know. I feel like it's a nice like it bridges the gap between. So for me, for example, I'm not the fastest runner and I'm not the strongest in the gym. But when you put the two together, I'm a faster runner in terms of high rocks, and I'm can do pretty well on the station. So for me personally, I do quite well, and I'd never place as high in a running race as I do in a high rocks, and I'd never place as
Right.
high like in a powerlifting competition that I do in a high rock. So for me, someone who's kind of okay at everything, it's quite good for me.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. But I do, like you said, I think it's become popular mainly because of social media. And I actually do question how many people would still do it if you couldn't post it on social media.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that the
so.
turnout would be
Yeah,
a lot less.
yeah, definitely. And a lot of people at my gym don't get it. They're kind of like they're competitive in like their own sport that they do. So that they think it's just like a bit of like a bit of fun. Like they're really competitive in different lots of different sports like cycling and stuff. So they're like it's for people who want to be an athlete but they're not really athletes. So I get it from like all points of view. Um but for me it's just I run mostly, and it's just kind of something that I do on the side of running. So it'll never be like a main training goal for me, but it's something that I can do that complements the running.
What's your opinion on people that call themselves high rocks athletes?
Um, I mean, if it gets people out moving and they feel like an athlete and they train like an athlete and then they're healthier, I don't think there's any like harm in it. I don't think people who train just high rocks are hybrid athletes. I think that's like a misleading. I think a hybrid athlete is someone who is in two different sports and are able to do the both together. I don't think a high rocks is a hybrid athlete as such. I think if you were, I don't know, say a rugby player and something else, and you were competing both sports amongst each other, then that you would be a hybrid athlete. I don't think doing one single fitness race is hybrid. I don't know. That's my opinion on it. I wouldn't class myself as a
Yeah.
hybrid athlete, and I run in Hyrox and a bit of like CrossFit and stuff like that. And I wouldn't class myself as a hybrid athlete. I'm just okay at everything.
See, the issue I have is not the hybrid part; it's the athlete part. Like for me, an athlete doesn't pay their entry fee to go and run a race,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, I've given it quite a bit of stick over the years, but I also do say I think it's quite a good way to get people involved in health and fitness and improving their lifestyle and everything. And again, it's another low barrier to entry sort of race. All you need is a pair of trainers and an optional t-shirt. But what would you say is tougher for you then, mentally, high rocks or ultra running?
Oh, the running, 100%. The running will
In what
always
way?
be. I think with a high rocks, I mentally don't ever really struggle with a high rocks because you'll never get into that point of like, the same because you're running a K and then you're going into a station and you're running a K. You're constantly changing like your focus mentally. Like, it's hard because it's physically hard, but when you're running like a marathon or even a half marathon, some people might find it the same, but you're it's that constant same movement over and over again until the end, possibly for hours. And you're forcing yourself to do that. You could stop at any point, but you're having to mentally tell yourself to keep going to get to the end. I think mentally, yeah, a marathon, ultra marathon, even a half marathon is probably mentally harder than a high rocks.
Would you say that's also
High rocks for
because
fun, so
yeah, I
it's
was going to say, is that
yeah.
because you see high rocks as more of a something you do on the side of running? You take the running a lot more seriously.
Maybe. I'm sure like these like the elite 15 athletes who obviously train specifically for high rocks and get themselves into like incredible shape and stuff, they probably may argue that it's harder.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I guess it depends where your interests are as well, doesn't it? Like, it can be mentally taxing just because, like you say, you're more bothered about running and improving your times at running than you are as a high rocks. If it was the other way around, I imagine the mental side of high rocks would get to you a bit more because you were more bothered about the times.
yeah, and I think a lot of people have come into running from starting high rocks because they realize that actually you need to be good at running to do a high rocks. So then
Yeah.
they're coming into it actually not enjoying running that much because they're just doing it to get better at high rocks rather than running and having high rocks to complement your. I only got into high rocks because I was just bored of constantly just running and then going to gym, doing a leg day, doing an arm day. So I kind of
Yeah.
did it so I could run and cross train and get stronger at the same time. So I would do like like a EMOM of like a K run in, some lunges and stuff. So that's kind of how I got into Hyrox, but it was to improve my running initially.
Well, that's the thing with Hyrox, isn't it? I think most people see the biggest improvements in their time from being better at running because on the stations, yeah, you can improve your times, but not probably as big as if you were to put that time and effort into improving your running. So, with that being said, then what do you think the biggest mistake for beginners is when they start Hyrox?
I think probably yeah, just spending too much time training the stations. I think you can. I mean, I'm no Hyrox expert. I'm not a coach. I'm not in the fitness industry at all. So don't listen to me really. But I think a lot of people spend so much time focusing on the stations themselves and like trying to constantly doing like the like circuits of stations and stuff. But it is as long as you've got like a good like endurance base and you're building like you're running up, you probably will be fine. Like my friends who are wanting to do it, they're like, "Oh, I need to go and do wall balls and this and that." And you just need to just go for a couple of runs first and just get your running up. And then if you can run probably a 10K, you can probably get through a high rocks and just get through the stations. Whereas if you did all the stations and didn't train your running, you probably wouldn't be able to finish a high rocks because it's just so running focused.
Yeah, it's a massive circuit session at the end of the day, isn't it? Is what it is. And Yeah, like you say, if you don't have that base to begin with, it is going to get pretty grim towards the back end. I've done one myself. I did Madrid in, it was 2023 maybe. And yeah, me and my mate definitely didn't train enough for that. We trained together once before we went.
Yeah.
We stood okay. We did okay. I think it was a 115 that we got. So
I think
wasn't too bad.
going into it new as well, like probably doing a doubles is probably quite a nice way to do it because then you do get a bit of a break and you can kind of, if you're not so good at some stations, your partner can obviously pick up the slack on those and then vice versa. You can kind of work to your strengths, which is quite nice. Whereas a
Yeah, well,
solo, you're kind of out there on your own doing it.
you can push yourself through it as like each other through it as well, can't you? We went 50-50 on all the stations. The running was what let us down because so we went to Madrid, first flight out on the Friday. We got bored, sat around doing nothing, so we ended up doing 20,000 steps, just
Yeah.
walking around Madrid, seeing some sights, and then it was the first thing the next day. And we had a bad night's sleep in the hotel, and we
Yeah.
were just shattered. Legs were heavy. And I mean, I'm not the lightest person to be running either. I'm 17 stone, so it's a lot of weight to lug around.
Yeah. I think some of these like pro men, I don't know how they can run the paces that they can run and then be able to like move the step the way they do. It's just crazy.
Mm. So then, obviously, you say you're more interested in the running side. What is it that attracted you to the ultra racing and sort of running those further and further distances?
I think, I mean, my mindset has changed again now, but initially, after having my daughter, I was like, I've done quite a few marathons before having her, and I just didn't think I'd ever be able to get back to the times that I was doing in the marathon. So I was like, well, I kind of need to scrap those now. Like, probably no more marathons. I'm never going to get the times that I was having before. I didn't want to kind of spend all my time training for one and not be happy with my time or be able to kind of get back to where I was before. So I was like, well, what else can I do that's not a marathon? And for a few years after having her, I didn't want to do anything longer just because obviously spending too much time away from her and obviously training for a marathon takes up a lot of time. You're kind of out running on a Sunday for like 3, 4 hours every week. So I didn't do any for a while. And then I don't know why I decided, I think I saw the BPM one. I don't know if you've seen that on YouTube. There's a big Go One More Ultra. It had quite a lot of like famous, like more like influencers, but like athletes go and do it. So I watched that and I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. I never really heard of that format before, Backyard Ultra. But again, was like, no, I haven't really got enough time to do that. I haven't got enough time to train for it. And then do it and was like, well, we'll do the ultra instead of a marathon because at least then if you do an ultra, you can't compare your times to before. Each one's so different. You could do 10 different 50K races and they'll all be completely different times because it'll be different terrains, different elevation. It would all be completely different. So that I'll start doing ultras, but then I haven't got to worry about my paces too much. And if I can't train for them properly, it doesn't, if I happen to miss a session, it won't matter too much because I won't be so like hot on what paces I need to run. So I can just go and run whenever I can. Um, so yeah, that's kind of why I initially signed up to the backyard ultra. But now I do want to go back to marathons. And I do want to get a bit faster and try and get my marathon times down. Now I know I can train that volume. I want to be able to kind of go back into the marathons again now.
So I was going to say shorter distances, but it's still not a short. It's not a short distance by any
I
stretch.
still want to get my 5K and 10K time down, but like I said before, I'm kind of training really hard and only taking teeny tiny bits off now because there's only so far you can go with unless you're like an elite athlete. You're not going to get your times down that much, like working full time and life and stuff. So I feel like my 5K and 10K times are probably where they're going to stay for a long time. So now I've not done a marathon for ages, so I'm going to do a few half marathons and a few marathons hopefully. I'd love to be able to like qualify for Boston next year. That'd be amazing. So I'll hopefully try and do that. And we'll see.
What's the qualification like for Boston? Is it a certain time?
Yeah, it changes every year depending on kind of. I think it's the top percentage of people who apply. So it changes every year depending on the speed of people who have ran throughout that year. But I think at the moment for a female, it's 3:20.
Jesus.
Yeah, pretty
Wow.
speedy. Yeah, yeah. So I don't. I don't know if I'll do it. I don't know if I'm even close, but that'll be the goal, hopefully.
Only one way to find out.
Yeah.
So, what has endurance sport taught you about yourself?
I think it's taught me that you're way more capable than you think you are. Like I would never believe that I was able to run 87K kind of back to back with minimal breaks. The furthest I ran before that was 50K, so it was an extra 37K onto what I'd ever ran before. So I
It's
think it just
incredible.
shows that your mind is so much more like stronger than you think it is, and you're able to do way more than you think you're able to do. In training for the ultra, I wanted to do something that was like really mentally boring. So I did 50K on the treadmill. Um,
Wow.
just literally just like sat like I stood on the treadmill for I think I was there for like 6 hours at the gym, just watching everyone at the gym just to kind of like train my brain to be really bored. Like it wasn't physically that hard. I was running so slow. I never really got to the point where it was physically really hard. But I just wanted to like be really bored. So I knew what it would feel like going into the
Different
ultra.
ways of doing that.
Well, I thought that, but when I did all the sims that I did before, like or I did the loads of the 5Ks on and off the rest, I never got to the point where I was like mentally struggling. So I was almost getting a bit concerned because like I've not got to the point in training yet. And when you're training for an ultra, you're not just training your legs, you're training your stomach, you're training your mind, you're training what you're going to use on the race day. So I was getting really worried that I'd done all this training but never actually hit the wall in training yet because I knew it would come in the race. So I wanted to know what it felt like. So if it happened in the race, I would know kind of how to overcome it. So I kind of wanted to practice like hitting the wall in training. Then even then it didn't really happen. Like, I ran the 50K on the treadmill and it was fine. And I was like, this, I don't know what's going on. Like a few of my friends are there. Like I watched the gym that I used to go to. The treadmills faced onto the Hyrox area. So a few of my friends were doing like a Hyrox sim, so I watched them do that. I watched like I was speaking to some other friends. I watched some things on Netflix, and yeah, I just before I know it, it's 50K done. And I was like, oh, like the wall hasn't been hit yet. When's it going to happen? Obviously, it then happened in the race. Yeah, I think it just shows that if you want to do something, you can just do it.
See, this is funny because in another podcast, I've been called a psycho for not going to the gym with headphones and
Yeah.
going for runs with no headphones. And you're there doing 50K on a treadmill.
I did have headphones. I listened to a few podcasts. I watched a few Netflix documentaries, and I watched my friends. I wasn't brave enough to go no headphones, nothing. My friend did it once. She did. I can't remember how far she did, but she did it with no headphones. I'm not mentally strong enough for that. I needed something. I can run for hours, but I need a bit of distraction. But yeah, it was fine. I finished a run and I was like, I only had to finish. I was getting my daughter back. Otherwise, I probably would have gone for longer. But I needed to shower and have her back. So I wanted to be able to hit the wall in training. So I knew what it felt like. Yeah, I did it.
Didn't happen.
No.
You spent six hours for
Yeah.
nothing.
I mean, it was great training and everyone thought I was mad. People were like coming in and out of the gym and then you're still here. I was like, yeah, be here for a couple more hours.
Fair
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
So, speaking of your daughter, then, what is her reaction to seeing you do these events?
And I think she just thinks it's normal now. Like, I'll finish a race. She's like, did you win? I'm like, oh no. She's like, what? Like she just I think her dad is quite active as well. So she's been brought up in a really active household. She sees us going to races all the time. She's come to my races ever since she was little. I used to run parkrun with her in the buggy. So I think she thinks it's normal. I don't think she sees it as this like amazing thing that we're all doing. I think she's just like, oh yeah, and then ran for 13 hours on Saturday night. Like, cool. Like I don't think she quite understands that that's not normal.
So, what do you think she's learning from seeing you do all of these things? Do you think it's having an impact on her that, you know,
Oh,
she can
she's
push
really active
herself in the
herself.
future?
She does like junior parkrun. She says like she can't wait to be able to do a Hyrox. Like she does a few like charity races. Like she's really sporty herself, which is really important to me. And I don't know. I hope that she just grows up like knowing that it doesn't really matter what your circumstances are. Like you can do what you want. Like if you're a single parent, if relationship breakdowns, whatnot, you're still strong. You can do whatever you want to do if you put your mind to it.
And with that, then obviously being a mum, what advice would you give to mums that are trying to get back into fitness or just start in general?
I mean, it's really hard because everyone's circumstances are so different. I'm quite lucky. I had a running buggy, so I was able to go out running when she was napping. I have a really supportive family. My dad still has her now every Tuesday, so I can go to the track. Obviously had a spin bike at home and stuff, so I was quite lucky in that sense. It was easy for me to be able to do it. But I mean, you can get running burgers quite cheap off Facebook Marketplace now, even if you just go and get one of those and do 5K a week, but with your baby with you. Like you don't need to necessarily leave your baby. I took my daughter with me on most of my runs midweek for the first year, and she would just nap in the buggy, and it was harder. It would have been easier to go without her, but it meant I didn't have to sacrifice any time with her, and was still able to stay fit. That she would nap, or she would like look at what was going on, or we'd talk, or we'd sing. I remember a few times when we used to do parkrun together, there was a big hill at our local park and I'd be singing like Frozen songs whilst running up the hill. And it just makes you, it makes you a lot more fitter, and it makes you a lot more resilient, I think. Just kind of, you don't have the easy way to do it. But yeah, I
Would you
think,
say the main sort of message behind that then is planning ahead your
yeah, I think
time?
so. I think so. I mean, again, it's really hard that some people go back to work sooner than others. I had 9 months off with my daughter, so we had a lot of time to go and do these things. Some people don't have that luxury. Yeah, hopefully they've got a supportive partner and at least can have the baby a few times a week so they can go for a run or go for a walk. I know a lot of like these community gyms allow children to go in with them. So the gym I go to, it has a little playpen, so the children can go to the gym and they can sit and watch a session whilst you get on with it, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Guess it's a
Nice.
gateway into the gym as well in the future if they've grew up around that sort of environment.
Yeah.
Right. Some quick fire questions to round us off then. Which is harder, night feeds or ultra races?
I get night feeds because it's just relentless and you never know when it's going to stop. Like my daughter still doesn't sleep through the night now, so we're not there yet. So 5 years of night wakens is definitely harder than an ultra.
Wow. 5 a.m. training or bedtime routines? Mental exhaustion, or physical exhaustion?
What's harder?
Yes.
Mental.
Yeah, you don't seem to struggle very much with the physical side of things.
No, not yet. I'm sure I'll find my limits at some point, but yeah, not quite yet.
What is harder, a marathon or ultra or a Hyrox?
Marathon.
Marathon, for what reason?
Just because you're so the pace that you're an ultra, you can just go out as long as you get a good distance or you get the distance you want. You don't really the pace doesn't matter. You can stop and walk. You can stop and have a snack. Whereas a marathon, especially if you're doing it competitively, that there's a pace that you want to hit and a time you want to hit. So there's just more pressure, I think, and there's more. You have to run at this pace for this many miles to get this time. Whereas an ultra is definitely more chill, and a
I
Hyrox
guess
is
that sort of links in with the
yeah,
mental side of things again.
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Oh, fair play. Leah, thank you very much for coming on the Big Lad podcast.
thank you.
Where can everybody find you?
Instagram, I'm Leah Hopton 95.
I'll put a link in the description below. Thank you very much for coming on. If you've enjoyed this one, drop it a like. If you are new, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.